Hey everybody, welcome to Crack Pack Tuesday number 181 on the Leek. I'm John as always, and we've got ourselves another pack of Ravnica Allegiance. This, of course, is a sponsored Crack a Pack. If you go on over to patreon.com/themanaleak and you sign up at the $5 level or above, you'll be entered each week to get all the cards in this pack, or none of the cards, or whatever card you happen to want. And this week, it's going to Michael L. So Michael will have to let me know if he wants all of the cards, or none of the cards, or some of the cards, including not our first pick. Arrestor's Zeal. Arrestor's Zeal is a single white mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Addendum, if you cast it during your main phase, it gets flying as well. It's a fine combat trick. If you've got a spot, you'll include it, and it is very, very, very not first pickable. Slimebind is potentially first pickable. The pack would have to be pretty bad, but Slimebind is 1 and a blue for an enchantment aura with flash, and the enchanted creature gets -4/-0. Had somebody tell me on a Spiky Saturday that this isn't removal. This is certainly removal. This is removal for a large number of creatures. Sure, it's not exactly pacifism. Sure, it doesn't work on a high alerted creature, but it works in a whole lot of cases, and it's pretty darn good. It's possibly one of the best blue commons. There are some good blue commons out there, but it's certainly in the running for one of the best, and it's currently our first pick. I don't think it'll hang out in frame for too long, but it can hang out for now. Up next is Mammoth Spider. Mammoth Spider is 4 and a green for a creature spider with reach. It's a 3/5, and that's about it. If you really have problems with flyers, this can certainly help out, and you can definitely side it in. If you have absolutely no way of dealing with flyers, you can also main deck it, and it's not the worst thing, but it's not a first pick. Up next is Consigned to the Pit. Consigned to the Pit is 5 and a black for a sorcery. Destroy target creature. Consigned to the Pit deals 2 damage to that creature's controller. It's hard removal. It's sorcery speed. That's a big bummer. It's 6 mana. That's also a big bummer. That actually makes it not, I was going to say terribly first pickable. I think it just makes it not first pickable. You'll play one of these in certain black decks, but there are other black decks where you should just not even consider playing these. And I think Slimebind is actually better due to the significantly lower cost, so it's not going to hang out in frame. It's my preview card, Skewer the Critics. Skewer the Critics is 2 and a red for a sorcery. It's got Spectacle for a single red mana, and of course it deals 3 damage to any target. It's Lightning Bolt. It's super duper good. It's mega good. I do believe it is better than Slimebind. Some people would argue that point, but I think Skewer the Critics is fantastic, and we're certainly going to pick it in this pack so far. In fact, I mean, we can hold Slimebind in for now, just in case people want to argue about it. Up next is Growth Spiral. Growth Spiral is green-blue for an instant. Draw a card, and then you can play a land from your hand onto the battlefield. It's not great. I had to go through this during the set review where people were saying this was incredible, and people are still picking it a little bit too highly, but I think people have finally realized, oh, this is actually only ever great on turn 2 when I have 4 lands. You know, I've played one, and then I played my second one, and then I have one in hand, and I have another one to play next turn. Casting this on the blind hope that you draw a land, that's not worth a card. Playing this to ramp out a land after turn 4 or 5 is not really worth a card. I don't really care for Growth Spiral. I don't think it's very good, and I don't really go out of my way to play them. I certainly don't highly pick them. Up next is Clear Your Mind. Clear the Mind, in fact. Clear the Mind is a sorcery for 2 and a blue. Target player shuffles their graveyard into their library and draw a card. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, this is such a grindy format that this is a great way for your control deck to make sure that you don't get milled out. And I mean, that's technically true, but I don't agree with the idea that this is a grindy format. There are matchups, there are decks that would like to be grindy, and sometimes they are successfully slow. But I think saying Ravnica Allegiance is a grindy format is doing a massive disservice to the format. It can be grindy, and it can also be ludicrously fast. So I'm not sold on this whole cute idea of I'm a late game deck, so I better play Clear the Mind. I think this card is still basically unplayable. You can side it in if you did mill out in the first game and you think that's likely to occur in the second game. But beyond that, I don't think you're ever playing this card, and you're never, ever first picking it. Up next is Sphinx's Insight. Sphinx's Insight is 2 white-blue for an instant, draw 2 cards, but if you cast it at sorcery speed, you gain 2 life as well. It's okay. It's fine. The only time that you're casting this in your main phase is when you have nothing else to do, which is a pretty big downside of an instant speed draw spell. Is you want to have stuff to do, hold this up, cast in the instant or in your opponent's turn if you didn't have to counter something or remove something, but then you don't get the 2 life. But the 2 life's not that important. Sphinx's Insight is fine. It's way better in sealed, but I'm not playing these in my draft decks unless I just need some card draw, and it's not even in the consideration for first pick ever. Another considerable first pick is Grotesque Demise. Grotesque Demise is 2 and a black for an instant. Exile target creature with power 3 or less. This is also good. It's sort of like Skewer the Critics, because it will deal with 3 3s at exactly the same rate, but this one also blows up 2 5s and stuff, but this one can be used after combat. So there's a lot of different places that Grotesque Demise could go, and I think it's definitely going to hang out in frame as well as a consideration for first pick here. Very good card. I'd love to play a couple. Up next is Exposed to Daylight. Exposed to Daylight is 2 and a white for an instant. Destroy target artifact or enchantment, scry 1. Here is your common enchantment removal, which is another interesting topic about this. People love to say that there's so much less enchantment removal in this set. So I went back and I looked at it, and most sets have 2 pieces of common removal, and this set has 1. Now, yes, that's a 100% decrease from previous sets, but it's 1 versus 2, which is definitely a change. And, Ethereal Absolution and enchantment is kind of the scourge of the format, but I actually don't buy there's so much less enchantment removal in the set. There is less, and as a result, Exposed to Daylight is pretty decent if you can splash it, but I still don't really main deck this. I might main deck it in League, where I'm just way more likely to see Ethereal Absolution. But if I'm in pod play in an F&M or something, I think I'm still just leaving this in the sideboard. I want to see a target first before I main deck this. Not a first pick regardless. And that brings us on to our uncommons, so no foils in this pack. We had 10 commons. Gyre Engineer is 1 green-blue for a creature Vidalcan Wizard. It's a 1/1 tap it to add green and blue to your mana pool. Very solid card. I've seen people be down on this saying, oh, it dies too easily. And sure, but they also wasted their removal on a 1/1. I'm pretty okay with that. And if they don't kill it right away, you are ramping like crazy. I think Gyre Engineer is actually still very solid. I want them in every green-blue deck that I play. I'm not going to pick it over, I think, any of these removal spells, however. Maybe over Slime Bind, but it's not going to be in the conversation today. Our next uncommon is Orzhov Racketeers. Orzhov Racketeers is 4 and a black for a creature human rogue. It's a 3/2. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card, and it's got Afterlife of 2. Totally solid card. I'd play one in, I think, every single Orzhov deck, and it would have to be an awful pack, I think, for me to first pick it. And this, as we can see, is not an awful pack, so this is just not going to be in the conversation. Good card, not in the conversation. Our final uncommon is Sky Tether, another potential first pick here. This is a removal-heavy pack. Sky Tether is a single white for an enchantment aura. The enchanted creature has Defender and loses Flying, so it can still block. But most white decks are going to have some amount of flyers, if not have flyers be their entire game plan. And Sky Tether gets rid of your opposing flyers and lets your flyers get on over. So Sky Tether is very good. Again, first pickable. I don't think I'm ever taking it over Skewer or Grotesque. It might go over Slime Bind, though. In fact, I think it does go over Slime Bind. So we'll have it hang out in frame, but let's see what the rare is. Well, the rare just decided everything, didn't it? I'm just gonna shred these cards. Ethereal Absolution. Ethereal Absolution is 4 white black for an enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Creatures your opponents control get -1/-1. Pay 2 white black. Exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. If it was a creature, make a 1/1 spirit, which of course is actually a 2/2 spirit as long as this is around. This card, as I said earlier, is the scourge of the format. This card's insane. This card is flat out, without question, the single best card in the entire set. It is an A+++. It is extraordinarily hard to come back from this being played. A lot of stories that I've heard of people beating this is by playing their own copy of it. This card is nutty, and it's going to be our first pick. Easy peasy. There's a guild gate and a token. So not much conversation about this. Let me know your bad beats about Ethereal Absolution. How badly did you lose to it? And if anybody wants to fight me on saying that this is not the first pick, I'd love to hear what's wrong with you. Anyways, this was Crack-A-Pack Tuesday. You can always find me on Twitter and Facebook and twitch.tv/ShamanAleek, where I stream more regularly now every Wednesday and every Sunday, although Sunday is not magic. You can go on over to patreon.com/ShamanAleek and donate at the $5 level or above, which will get you in the running, just like Michael here, to get all the cards from each Crack-A-Pack Tuesday each week. If you want to go over to Inked Gaming, you can go on over there and use the promo code MANALEEK10, all one word, to get 10% off your order on your playmat, your dice bags, your mouse pads, your hoodies. They sell board games as well, all kinds of stuff over there. But if you like the content, click that thumbs up button, click subscribe if you want to see more, and if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, see y'all next time.